Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jacoby from Papa Roach, and welcome to the 6th Sense Ask Anything Chat. And before we get into this, I'd like to thank Nikki, Six, and Jen. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it very much. So let's get into this. We're gonna go into the first question. Sasha from Independence. What is your most unusual fan experience? Man, I've had some pretty unusual fan experiences. I'd say the most unusual, most awkward one was we were on tour and we used to check in the hotels underneath our regular names, and I got out of the shower and just drying off, and somebody had knocked on the door. I thought it was my band member, so I opened the door and this person started just flashing pictures of me like, oh my God. I'm standing there like in a towel. I'm like, what are you doing? Shut the door. It's kind of awkward. So yeah, but there's a lot of cool experiences we have with fans as well. We had a cool one. We had a fan named Diana that made these giant clay figurines of us. Brought them to us today, which is pretty awesome. All right, Julia from Moores. What do you want fans to take from your shows? I think that we want fans to walk away from our shows lifted, buzzed, high, elated. Felt like they just had a blast. You know what I'm saying? I think that what we want from a rock show is our fans to just go buck nutty, and sometimes it takes a little while for our fans to get into it. This is Leslie from Indio. Who's your favorite band out right now? I would say my favorite band out right now, hands down, is probably Bring Me the Horizon. They just released a new record called That's the Spirit, and I love it. I think it's great. They totally flipped it up, evolved, changed, and to my liking. Like, I really like what they're doing, and I think it's fresh. It's big, heavy guitar riffs, but then it's also very reflective and emotive. So great band, great live band too. Aaron from Helsinki. Can't wait for the tour to get here in November. Anything to tell us about how the tour is going so far? This tour is going amazing. It's awesome. Every night, packed houses. Fans are going crazy. We get to play for 75 minutes, which is awesome. So both us and Five Finger both play, an hour and 15 minutes, which is plenty. And we leave it all on the stage, and fans never go home disappointed on this tour. I mean, we're watching the message boards just light up. Fans are really digging what we're doing right now, so I think you guys are in for a treat. Charlotte from Houston. If you could... Okay, that's weird. If you could give your younger self on E piece of advice. Weird. I'll just modify it. Charlotte from Houston. If you could give your younger self a piece of advice looking back, what it would be? I just wouldn't waste my breath on trying to tell the younger me to do something, because the younger me just wouldn't listen. So that's just what's up. I had to learn by my mistakes, you know what I'm saying? That's just kind of been the way I've been. Grace from Detroit. If you could travel in time, Grace from Detroit. If you could travel in time, would you go to the past or to the future? I'd definitely go to the future. I'd go like 150 years ahead to see if humanity is either still here, if we've left and gone to another planet, or if this thing just went up in flames. It'd be interesting. Sunny from Toronto. What song that you didn't write, but Sunny from Toronto. What's a song that you didn't write but wish you had? That's tough. There's a lot of songs out there that I really like that I wish we would have written. Holy Diver, Ronnie James Dio. That would be sick to perform that song every night. Like, it's just got metal fire. I love that song. Addison from London. What was the most challenging part about recording F.E.A.R? I'd say the most challenging part about recording the record F.E.A.R was being in Las Vegas. I think that was just in the beginning, it was the most challenging part. Just because it's like, that's a city where all my demons live, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to live a new life, you know what I mean? I'm trying not to get into that old way, back into my old wicked ways. And so, it was a bit of a challenge to not go fall into those old traps and those old behaviors, but the music is what saved me, to be honest. Like, just getting in that studio and creating, and it became honestly my most favorite recording experiences we've ever had in our time as a band. Britt from Baltimore. Was there ever a time in your career you wish you would have picked a 9-to-5 kind of job? That question was from Britt from Baltimore. Yeah, probably about like 2 weeks ago when we started this tour, I didn't want to be here. Straight up. I didn't want to go on tour. I didn't want to play music. And I think that now I've been out on the tour for a couple weeks and I totally want to be here. It's where I'm supposed to be, but it had nothing to do with the bands or my band. It's just had to do with where I'm at in my personal life and my relationships with my family and the season of life that my family's in right now. It's very hard to walk away from something that I love so dearly as my family to walk and come do this, but then I realized this is my family too. So this is where I'm supposed to be. And so it's just tough, that sacrifice, having to be on the phone, Dad, you know what I'm saying, or FaceTime Dad. It's not the same as just giving your kid a hug and tucking them into bed and doing that stuff. So that's the sacrifice that's tough to deal with. And if I had a 9-to-5 job, I could, I could be around home. But hey, dude, I love my job, so I ain't trying to hate on it, you know what I mean? Okay, Hannah from Long Beach. Hannah from Long Beach. Who were your musical influences growing up? Musical influences for me spanned a lot of different styles. I was into hip-hop music, Wu-Tang Clan, but then I also like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Faith No More. Loved hair metal. I loved Motley Crue. You know what I'm saying? I loved Poison. Yeah, I put those two bands next to each other because Nikki. Yeah. Yeah, I loved all kinds of different music, all the way to Social Distortion, to Helmet, and then fell in love with bands like the Deftones and Korn later on. And I love music, man. If it's good and it inspires me, I'm into it. Sydney from Cleveland. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Oh, dang, one food for the rest of my life. Banoffee pie. And I probably wouldn't have that long of a life because I'd die from gluttony. I'd be like 800 pounds in 2 months. It'd be terrible. Alex from Pittsburgh. Describe yourself in one word. Energetic. Josh from Aurora. Have you ever taken a new up and coming? Okay. Josh from Aurora. Have you ever taken a new up and coming band under your wing and mentored them? Yeah, we took a band called Die Trying some years ago. I produced the demo, which got them a record deal with Island Def Jam, which they went on to sell a good amount of records for Island Def Jam, and then the band broke up. So we did our best, took them on a bunch of tours, but it didn't pan out for those guys, man. But it was a good run, man. It was fun. It was a good experience. Zach from Bakersfield. What's the best concert each of you have ever been to? Well, there's only one of me, so I would probably say the best concert I've ever been to is probably Deftones at the Cattle Club when I was like 17 years old. I just remember that was like the show that just made me want to start a rock band. I was in the mosh pit, sweating it out, just having a blast, and I left just going, that's what I want to do. I'll be like Chino. But then just becoming like myself. Jack from Detroit. Since you're on 6 Cents tonight, what's your favorite Motley Crue song? Does the band do any Crue cover songs? No, we've never done a Crue cover song. If we did do a Crue cover song, I think it'd be Too Young to Fall in Love. That's my favorite Motley Crue song, straight up. Too Young to Fall in Love. It's just a banger, dude. Just attitude, style, just savage. Love Motley Crue. Motley Crue is like one of my favorite bands growing up as a kid, so it's kind of interesting to get to know the guys and befriend, Nikki and Tommy and Mick and, those guys. So it's cool, man. We shared the stage with those guys a couple times too, which was awesome. Emma from St. Paul. If you could play one instrument you don't know how to play yet, which one would it be? I'd like to play the piano. I can't play piano, I'm terrible. I like to joke and say I have dicks for fingers, but my hands just, it don't work like that. It's just my voice, that's my instrument, man. Chelsea from Buffalo. How do you keep finding inspiration to write new music? Where do you draw from? I draw from inspiration from life, man. Life just keeps happening. It's one thing that is consistent as life keeps on happening. Highs, lows, in-betweens, good times, bad times, dark times, painful times, joyful times, and what I learned from that. And I've turned that around and expressed myself in music. I think that it's very cathartic for me. It's a very healthy way to express myself. I don't know what my life would be like if I didn't have music in my life. Like, I joke, like rock and roll saved my life, but I really think it did, man. I think it's a thing that, honestly, now I think rock and roll just gives me life. It gives me purpose, you know, so music, man, it's powerful. Jared from Lincoln, out of all the songs you've written, which means the most to you and why? I would say, if I were to pick something off the newer record, F.E.A.R, I would say Falling Apart. I think that track, you know, really just, you know, I said earlier in the interview, just that spiritual life, man, it's important to me. You know, it's very personal, but it's very important. And I think that's, I guess, yeah, man, just a powerful song. I just said, tell a fan, you know, I just want you guys to go read the lyrics to that track, man. Just read the lyrics. Powerful track. Mark from Greensboro. Do we see another album coming in the near future? There will be another Papa Roach record, but I don't know when it will be. Lisa from Henderson. What's one of your first bands you've ever gone on the road with? One of the first bands we ever went on the road with was Seven Dust. They took us out on a West Coast leg of their tour, and I remember it was a blast, you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys were the big time dudes, and we were going to open shows for them, and I just couldn't believe that we were there doing that. And we rocked it, man. And I remember the guys in Seven Dust, after the first couple shows, they came and, you know, introduced themselves, and it was just cool to meet those guys because I really looked up to those guys. I loved the band, loved the music, and now fast forward many years later, we're still really good friends, you know. So it's cool to, I guess, come in as the underdog, you know, and look up to these guys, and then eventually those guys just becoming my good buddies. When I see them, it's like pounds and bear hugs, you know what I mean? Mary from Scottsdale. Describe your perfect Saturday night. Dang, my perfect Saturday night. All right, this is what it is, dude. Madison Square Garden, New York City. My whole family's in town. Sold out rock and roll show. We go eat Mr. Chow's at 5 p.m. Come back. We do the meet and greet. We do a presentation of our double platinum selling record, whatever the hell that record is called. The band gets some double platinum records. And then we play a sold out show to Madison Square Garden. And then I take a helicopter with my wife to a secret location and make love to the wee hours of the morning. And then we take that helicopter back in the morning, take the kids to breakfast. Yeah! Epic life. Stan from Baton Rouge. What song of F.E.A.R was more challenging for you to write? I would say, dude, fading. Gotta play a rock show. Stan from Baton Rouge. What song of F.E.A.R was the most challenging for you to write? I would say the most challenging track off F.E.A.R to write was Gravity. Deeply personal track. I put all the dirty details into that track, you know, and painted myself in a not so good light, exposed all my flaws and my brokenness and my weaknesses as a husband, you know, and just kind of I laid it out there, man. I put a nail in it, like that old life's done, you know. But it's a banging track, and in the process of writing it, I think we rewrote the track like 4 or 5 times. So that was quite frustrating, but we didn't give up on it because I was ready to, I'm like, I'm over this track. I don't even want to finish it. And then management was like, no, this track is special, man. You guys gotta see it through. And so we did, and it turned into something that we're all very happy with. Sorry. They can edit that shit out, right? Kara from Toronto. What was the first big thing you brought? Kara from Toronto. What was the first big thing you bought after you started making money from the band? A car. I remember I bought a BMW 3 Series and I paid cash for it. A $30,000 car. I can't believe it. I was like, $30,000, dude, right there on the table. I was tripping. And I drove that car like I stole it, man. I beat that car up so good, man. That was a fun car to have. I wish I still had it. I beat that thing up. Andy from Orlando. If you had to live life without one of your 5 senses, which would you choose? I'd say I'd live without my sight. I'd rather live without my sight, man, because taste, man, you gotta have that sense of taste. But that, yeah, your smeller, your sniffer. I don't know, dude. That's a bad question. Next. Troy from Cedar Rapids. You guys are doing a show here on October 2nd. How much say do you have in the merch that's for sale? Anything you like that I need to buy? The new Papa Roach merch line is awesome. I think it's probably the best line we've had in quite some time. I really dig it. I think the new hoodie is dope. I've been wearing it a lot lately, so get that hoodie, dog. It's tight. Kent from Spokane. At what moment in your career did you finally feel like you made it? I still haven't had that feeling yet. It's strange. Still don't, I don't know. Still don't feel like I'm there. I don't know if I ever will. It's more of a journey type thing, you know what I mean? Mel from Boise. What made you finally have features on your records for F.E.A.R? I think it's just thinking it was time, you know, time to have different artists appear on the record, and I wanted to do a duet with Maria, and it was the perfect time to do it. She was in the studio across the hall, so I just knock on that door. She came over, checked out the track, loved it, and it was just meant to be, you know what I'm saying? So it was perfect. And then having Royce to 5'9" on it, I'm just a big fan of his, and so I sent him that track Warriors. He dug it, which I was totally blown away. I'm like, you like Papa Roach? He's like, oh yeah, man, y'all was sick. And so I had him feature on the track, and he killed it. And yeah, it was fun, man. Thank you guys very much for asking me all those questions. It was fun. Thank you, Nikki Sixx. Thank you, Jen, for having us. And don't forget, come and see us on the road with Five Finger Death Punch. We're touring out here in America till October 10th, I believe. And then we go to Europe next, Europe and the UK. So we'll see you guys out there worldwide. Papa Roach, Jacoby, I love you. I'm out.